Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let's begin our class by reciting Kitab Al-Fatihah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Arrahmanirrahim. Maliki yaumiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin. Okay. This session I would like to continue with the previous session which on accounting equation and accounting classification. In this session, I will discuss on principle of double entry, which in this session, at the end of the session, you should be applied double entry rules to prepare ledger accounts and balancing of accounts, which I will do in a later tutorial, maybe by next week, inshallah. Okay, in the previous session, on the accounting equation and accounting classification, I have mentioned about the basic accounting equation, which is expenses plus asset equivalent to capital plus liability plus revenues. Okay, I have mentioned that if asset and expenses increase, we will debit. If it is decreased, then it is credit. While on the other hand, if capital, revenue and liability increase, we credit it, and if capital and revenue decrease, we will debit it. Okay, the concept of debit and credit is basically debit side is on the left hand side of the account and credit side on the right hand side of the account. We record it according to the debit and credit. Debit means we record it on the left hand side, while on the credit side is we record it on the right hand side. Okay, we look at the first example. This is based on the previous example. On January 1st, started business with cash. Started business, which is means increase in capital. Okay, and then with cash, then this is increase in cash. Okay, so the effect, if you look in this simple equation, asset equivalent to liabilities plus owner equities or capital, plus 35,000 cash here, plus 35,000 capital here, means this one is always equals. The effect here is on capital and cash, which is increase in asset, the cash, and increase in capital, the equity. Okay, when we want to record it, each business transaction will have to be recorded on debit side or credit side. Okay, this is the account. The simple account will be like this. Title of the account, let's say cash account. Then we have date here, 1st January. Particulars, if I refer to the previous example, is capital. Okay, debit capital, capital because capital increase, capital increase, we will credit capital. Asset increase, debit asset. In this case, we will debit cash, credit capital 35,000. Okay, as simple as that. Okay, so this is how it will be recorded properly. You must have date for debit side. This is debit side on the left hand side. Here is the debit side, and here is the credit side. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, when started business with cash, with 35,000 ringgit cash, increase in asset, increase in equity, debit cash, credit capital. How we want to record it? We open two account, cash account and capital account. Okay, so we will debit cash on 1st January 35,000, the particulars will be capital. While in the capital account, because it is increase in capital, so we will credit it. Okay, so on the capital account, we will record it on the credit side. Debit side of cash account, credit capital 1st January 35,000, particulars will be cash. Okay, means that we will make a reference there. Okay, for the first transaction. Okay, you will do the same thing for other transaction. For asset and expenses, if it is increased, then we will record it on the debit side. Okay, if it is credit, then we record it. If it is decrease in asset, we will record it on the credit side. You look here. Yeah. For asset, if increase, we record it on debit side. If decrease, we record it on credit side. For liability, it is dia terbalik, dia tak sama. Maksudnya kalau increase in asset on debit side, increase in liability will be credited on the credit side. Okay, so decrease in liabilities on the debit side. Same for capital. Okay, and exceptional for drawings account. Drawings account will reduce the amount of capital. That's why it is will be treated like expenses. But I will go to that point when we go to the when we do the exercise. Okay. Okay, for revenue, we actually we will use the basic accounting equation: expenses plus asset equivalent to capital plus liability plus revenue. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, increase in expenses and asset, we will debit it. Increase in capital, liabilities and revenue, we will credit it. While if it is decrease in expenses and asset, we will credit asset and expenses account. If decrease in capital, liability and revenue, we will debit the accounts. Okay, capital, liability and revenue will be debited if it is decreased. So here it is revenue, decrease, we will debit it. Debit means record it on the right, we record it on the left hand side. If it is increase, we record it on the debit side, on the left hand side. For expenses, the same thing. Expenses increase, we will debit it on the left hand side. If it is decrease, then we record it on the credit side. Okay, when we do the recording, okay, throughout the period, for example, in this case for 1 month, okay, starting from 1st January, we recorded a capital 35,000, and then 2nd January, the transaction on bank account, purchases account, office expenses account. As at the end of the period, okay, we will calculate the total. Okay, in this case, on the debit side is 35,000 ringgit, on the credit side only 30,000, 1,500 and 500. Okay, while on the debit side is 35,000. Clearly we can see here, we total up which one is higher. In this case, on the debit side, okay, debit side is 35,000, while here only 32,000. Okay, here is 32,000. Clearly debit side is higher than credit side. What we do to close off the account, we will balance it off. We put 35,000 on the credit side, and then the balance 35,000 minus 32,000 is 3,000. This is the balance carried down here. Okay, the balance carried down on 31st January, balance carried down 3,000. Okay, it is the difference between the total of debit side and credit side. Which one is lower? Okay, so in here credit side is lower, then the balance will be recorded on the credit side as a balance carried down. Okay, the next step, when we close off the account, the balance carried down will be recorded in the next accounting period as balance brought down, as a balance brought down, which we will record it under the debit side. The date is 1st February, the next accounting session. Okay, 1st February, balance brought down 3,000 ringgit. This amount will be we will bring this amount to the trial balance. Okay, so this one I will show you in the later lesson or session. Okay, so for this session I will stop till here. Okay, before that, for balance carried down, we see that for asset expenses drawing, this one is actually part of liability, but never mind. We'll have a debit balance. For example, like just now, cash account, this one is asset. It will has a debit balance. Okay, this one is what it means here. Okay, so for asset expenses and drawing, will have a debit balance, while for capital, liabilities and revenue will have a credit balance. On the other hand, we will have a zero balance if the account is balanced, means that no balance, the account will close off. If it is zero balance or no balance, the account will close off. Okay, so I will stop here for the lecture. I will continue with this example, Muhibah Cake House. If you still remember, I have done this example for the first session on accounting equation and classification to show the increase and decrease, and also the debit and credit side, which one to be recorded on the debit side and credit side, which transaction is debit and which transaction is credit, and also the book of prime entry. Okay, so I will continue with this example in the next session. Okay, so with that, thank you. We end the class by reciting Al-Inshirah and Tasbih Kifarah.